3, 2, 1, start. The petitioner is not without his remedy. His remedy lies in an election petition which we understand he has already put in. It is argued for him that remedy which merely allows him to have set aside an election once held is not as efficacious as the one which would enable him to stop the election altogether, and certain observations at page 600 of Sarvathama Rao versus Chairman Municipal Council are quoted. In the first place, we do not see how the mere fact that the petitioner cannot get the election stopped and has his remedy only after it is over by an election petition will in itself confer on him any right to obtain a writ. In the second place, these observations were directed to the consideration of the propriety of an injunction in a civil suit, a matter with which we are not here concerned. And finally, it may be observed that these remarks were made some years ago when the practice of individuals coming forward to stop elections in order that their own individual interest may be safeguarded was not so common. It is clear that there is another side of the question to be considered, namely the inconvenience to the public administration of having elections and the business of local boards held up while individuals prosecute their individual grievances. We understand the election for the elective seats in this union has been held up since 31st May because of this petition, the result being that the electors have been unable since then to have any representation on the board, and the board is functioning, if indeed it is functioning, with a mere nominated fraction of its total strength. And this state of affairs the petitioner proposes to have continued until his own person grievance is satisfied. These observations, which were made in regard to elections to local boards, will apply with great force to elections to legislatures, because it does not require much argument to show that in a country with a democratic constitution in which the legislatures have to play a very important role, it will lead to serious consequences if the elections are unduly obstructed. To this aspect of the matter, I shall have to advert later, but it is sufficient for the present purpose to state, firstly, that in England the hardship and inconvenience which may be suffered by an individual candidate has not been regarded as of sufficient weight to induce Parliament to make provision for immediate relief, and the aggrieved candidate has to wait until after the election to challenge the validity of the rejection of his nomination paper. And secondly, that the question of hardship or inconvenience is after all only a secondary question, because if the construction put by the High Court on Article 329 within bracket B of the Constitution is found to be correct, the fact that such construction will lead to hardship and inconvenience becomes irrelevant. In construing this article, reference was made by both parties in the course of their arguments to other articles in the same part, namely Articles 324, 325, 326, 327 and 328. Article 324 provides for the constitution and appointment of an election commissioner to superintend, direct and control elections to the legislatures. Article 325 prohibits discrimination against electors on the ground of religion, race, caste or sex. Article 326 provides for adult suffrage. Article 327 empowers Parliament to pass laws making provision with respect to all matters relating to or in connection with elections to the legislatures subject to the provisions of the Constitution, and Article 328 is a complementary article giving power to the state legislature to make provision with respect to all matters relating to or in connection with election to the state legislatures. A notable difference in the language used in Article 327 and 328 on the one hand and Article 329 on the other is that while the first two articles begin with the words subject to the provisions of this constitution, the last article begins with the words notwithstanding anything in this constitution. It was conceded at the bar that the effect of this difference in language is that whereas any law made by Parliament under Article 327 or by the state legislatures under Article 328 cannot exclude the jurisdiction of the High Court under Article 226 of the Constitution. That jurisdiction is excluded in regard to matters provided for in Article 329.